I woke up around 2:30 a.m. in the hospital, barely able to move. The surgery was supposed to be a minor one, appendix removal, but the pain felt worse than I expected. The room was dimly lit, the only light coming from the green monitor beside my bed. Each beep echoed through the silence. I could hear faint voices down the hallway, nurses talking softly, maybe changing shifts. Everything felt calm. Until I heard the slow sound of breathing. Not mine, someone else's. It was faint at first, like someone struggling through a mask. I looked toward the door, but it was closed. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw someone standing at the foot of my bed. It was a woman. Pale skin, wearing a hospital gown. An oxygen mask covered her face, fogging slightly as she breathed. Her hair was wet, like she'd just come out of the shower, or maybe she'd been sweating. I tried to speak, but my throat was dry. My hand shook as I reached for the call button. The beeping from the monitor picked up speed. When I pressed the button, no one came. The woman didn't move closer. She just stood there, staring. I could hear her breathing getting slower. Until it completely stopped. And then she was gone. No footsteps, no door sound. About a minute later, the nurse rushed in. She checked my vitals and asked what happened. I told her there was a woman in here. Standing by the bed. She froze. A woman? She repeated, her voice suddenly quiet. I nodded. With an oxygen mask. The nurse looked at me for a long time before saying, "Sir, the woman who last stayed in this room died 3 nights ago. Respiratory failure." She was still wearing her oxygen mask when we found her. The nurse turned off the monitor alarm and whispered, like she was talking to herself, "I told them to move that bed out of here." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the foot of the bed, waiting for the fog on that mask to appear again. I've been a night shift nurse for almost 8 years now. You'd think I'd seen it all: death, pain, patients crying out at 3 a.m. because of hallucinations or medication effects. But nothing ever prepared me for what happened in room 213. It started quietly. That night was unusually calm. All the patients were stable, and my rounds were on schedule. Around 1:40 a.m., the hallway was so quiet you could hear the hum of the fluorescent lights. I was charting vitals at the station when the call light on the wall blinked on. Room 213, I frowned a bit. Room 213 had been empty since Mr. Harris passed away 3 nights ago, a sweet old man who'd stayed there for months. The room was cleaned and locked earlier that evening. No new admission. Still, I got up, thinking maybe one of the cleaners had gone in to check supplies or something. When I reached the door, the red light above it was still blinking. I opened it slowly. The room was dark. The bed was neatly made, with fresh white sheets. The monitor and 4-pole were unplugged. Everything looked perfectly normal. But the call light button, the one next to the bed, was glowing red. That's impossible, I thought. It only glows if someone presses it from the bed. I reset it, turned off the switch, and left. But 10 minutes later, it blinked again. Same room. I tried to ignore it. Sometimes the electrical wiring acts up in older buildings. But around 2:10 a.m., it started again, in a slow, steady rhythm. Almost like a heartbeat. This time, I went back with my flashlight. As soon as I entered the doorway, I swear the air inside felt different, heavier, colder. The smell too. Faint antiseptic, but mixed with something else. Like old flowers and hospital alcohol. I shone my light across the room, and that's when I saw it. Someone sitting on the bed, shoulders hunched, pale hands resting on their lap. The light from my torch trembled as I froze. I wanted to speak, but no sound came out. It was like my throat just locked up. My heart started racing so fast I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. The figure turned slowly. I saw an old man's face. Thin, gray, eyes half open, looking right at me. His lips were slightly apart, like he was trying to breathe but couldn't. I wanted to step back, but I couldn't move. My legs wouldn't obey me. I was completely paralyzed, standing in that doorway, flashlight shaking in my hand. Then the call light on the wall, the one inside the room, flicked off by itself, and the old man whispered something. I couldn't make it out at first, but it sounded like, "Thank you, nurse." The next second, he wasn't there anymore. I don't remember falling, but I woke up on the floor just outside the room. My coworkers trying to lift me. My whole body felt numb. The doctor said it might have been a panic-induced fainting spell, but I know what I saw. The next morning, I went back to room 213 with the head nurse. The light switch had been disconnected, literally unplugged from the wall. They've since turned that room into a storage closet. No one stays there anymore, but every few nights when I walk past that door, I still see a faint red glow seeping from underneath. I work as an orderly in a mid-sized hospital. Most of my job is routine, moving patients, taking specimens or cleaning stretchers. But the part nobody ever wants is transporting bodies down to the morgue during night shifts. It's not supposed to be scary. The bodies are of course covered, tagged, and silent. But that night, something felt different. It was around 1:15 a.m. The hallways were empty. I just finished taking a deceased patient, an old woman from the ICU. I remember because she still had that faint hospital smell on her gown, mixed with lavender soap. I wheeled her on a covered gurney toward the service elevator, the one that goes straight to the basement morgue. I pressed the button, it dinged softly, doors slid open, and I rolled in with her. As soon as the doors closed, I felt that heavy stillness, the kind you get when you know you're alone but still feel watched. The elevator started to move. It hummed normally for about 10 seconds, then jerked and stopped. The lights flickered once, then dimmed into that dull emergency glow. At first, I thought it was power issue, which happens sometimes. I pressed the emergency call button, no sound. I pressed it again and there was still nothing. Then I heard a faint sound of breathing, not mine, it came from under the sheet. I stood still, staring at the gurney. The sheet moved just slightly, like someone underneath was taking a slow, careful breath. I told myself it was air pressure, or maybe movement from the elevator stopping. But then came another sound, like the plastic tag on the patient's wrist sliding softly against the metal railing. "Hello?" I whispered, though I didn't know why. No sound. Then the elevator lights flickered again, and I swear, I saw the shape of a hand pressing upward from beneath the sheet. Just for a second, fingers curling slowly, then going still, my mouth went dry. I backed against the wall, staring at that still figure. I could hear the breathing again. Faster this time. Then the body sat up, the sheet slipped down just enough for me to see pale hair and hollow eyes staring right through me. Her lips moved, whispering something I couldn't understand. I tried to move, to hit the button, to scream, but my body just wouldn't respond. It felt like every muscle locked up. The elevator shuddered suddenly, dropping an inch, like something heavy had jumped inside. The woman's head tilted to the side, and she whispered again, clearer this time, "You forgot to take me home." The next second, the elevator jolted back to life, the lights came fully on. The woman's body fell backward, sheet covering her face again, perfectly still. When the doors opened at the morgue level, 2 attendants were waiting. They looked at me strangely and said I was pale and sweating. I couldn't even say a word. They took the gurney and wheeled it into the storage room. I was about to leave when one of them called out, "Hey, did you notice this tag? It's smudged. Looks like someone wiped it clean." I looked. The inked name and time of death were completely gone. Only one word was left written faintly at the bottom in black marker. Home.